This time I have an old JVC VCR up on the workbench. This one's got a couple different problems with it. And I don't know whether this one's going to be one that's going to be repairable or not at this point. It's mine, it's questionable. It's been fixed before, it's been sitting around, it's got problems, it's one that I don't use. And there's a good chance that it may not be repairable, but let's give it a go and see whether I can get it to work. Okay, this time I have an old JVC. It won't turn on. If I try to load a tape, the machine's going to turn on, and it's going to turn back off. This time it didn't turn off. When I first tried it, it turned off. Well, just giving this unit a quick once over, that definitely looks like a bad connection right there. I wonder what that controls. It certainly is open, but definitely the button doesn't work. The power button doesn't work on the front, but it will turn on if I push a tape into it. But I can't turn it off. It's still on. I don't know whether that bad connection right here has anything to do with that or not, but we're going to resolder it anyway, just because, well, it's supposed to be soldered down. That part is, that transistor is, as you can see, completely disconnected. Well, it's a little better. I doubt that that's all it is, but oh, the power switch still doesn't work. I wonder what that transistor actually did. Still won't turn on. We'll check the switch. Pull the faceplate off here and check that little circuit board where that switch is and see whether there's something wrong with that. So I don't know if there's anything else wrong with this machine or not. Whether there's any other faults. I know the display doesn't work on it either. Oh, okay, well, that plug appears to be loose. I wonder if that has anything to do with the power switch not working. Well, now it turns on. And it turns back off. That's interesting. I wonder how that got popped apart. Still got no display on here. I wonder why. Missing a voltage perhaps. Let's just see if we can figure that one out. I would say no, there's no heaters glowing here because we should see them. With infrared, we should see them. Oh, there's the infrared display here on this camera, and as you can see, there's no heat coming off here, so the filaments aren't lighting up. You can see how hot my hand is. 98.6. That's normal. I'm okay. And then the background radiation on here is down to around 80. That's probably what it is in the shop here right now, or a little cooler. But there's no power for the filaments, for starters. We can measure voltages here with the meter and see what, if I'm getting any other voltages, we can go back to the power supply and check that out. What the hell? The clock just came back on its own. Was it that? I don't even know what to say. It's not very bright, but it was off completely before. And now it's come on. I turned the power off. Huh. When the power to the unit is off, the display fades out to nothing. Oh, now it won't turn back on. Okay, something's weird with this. Now the unit is dead, it won't turn back on. What the hell? That is weird. Unplug it. Plug it in. Well, it's got a gremlin. It won't turn on. This has got to have something wrong with the power supply, I would think. That's weird. Because it was turning on. and there was no clock display, and then all of a sudden the clock display came on, and I turned it off, and the clock display went away when it was turned off. Now it's back on, and here comes the display back. Off, on, off. Just check some power supply voltages here. Alright, what do we got here? On this ICP we've got 12 volts. What about here? We have 12 volts there. We have 12 volts here. 12 volts there. 12 volts there. 11 volts there. Now if I turn it off, what happens? Still have 12 volts. So these are constant 12. Oh, it just dropped. The power just dropped. Yeah, all my power supplies have gone off. Okay, we got something going on in the power supply on this unit. That is where the problem with this is. So let's pull the power supply in. See what's wrong with it. See if I can fix it. See, this is what happens with equipment that's just been left sitting around unused, right? You leave equipment sitting around long enough, and when you haul it out again, something's not going to work. You fix that problem and leave it sit for a couple of years, and then it doesn't work. That's the fun of old electronics. Alright, let's get this power supply open. These plugs probably undo, but maybe I don't want to undo them. See if I can get in here and see what's going on in the power supply without having to undo everything. Of course, this one was rebuilt a while ago. So I'm just going to check some of my voltages here. See if you can see the meter. Unit is turned on now. This is the switch 12 test point, and I'm only getting 10.5 volts. Now some of these caps were changed in the past, and the reason why they're on the bottom is because it was a larger cap than what was available at the time, so caps were paralleled to make up the capacity. And I was looking for some of the other test points in here. Switch 12 is low, so although when I measured 12 over here, I had 12 over here. Oh, ground came off. Oh, we got 8 now. Oh, I had 12. This is the 12 volt supply. I wonder why it's low. Regulation's low. Maybe a connection in here. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe a bad connection inside this feedback circuit, because it uses, this is the hot side over here, obviously, so we're staying clear of that. It uses a feedback circuit through this optocoupler to drive the voltage, and if the 12 volts is low, then the other supplies are also likely low. That's 19 volts. That might be the 24 volt supply. This one here is 6 volts. I wonder what this is supposed to be. But definitely that switch 12. Now it's 12. What the hell? That was measuring only 9 volts before. Now it's gone up to 12. Now that's gone up to 12. Okay. There's got to be a bad connection in here, because that was just down at 10 volts a few minutes ago. Now it's gone up. Okay, let me just unplug this thing. I'm just going to go through this and look and see if there's any connections, because there was corrosion in this before, and I'm curious as to whether there's some corrosion and a bad connection that's causing the voltage to be off. because I measured that low and it's now good. So let me get a close look at this. There's still, like, there's areas of the board where there's still corrosion under the solder mask here, for example. I don't know if that's corroded or not, but I guess I'll have to just peel it back and look and see. See, that copper could have been eaten through. This is what happens with these capacitors that leak like this. The original caps on here pissed all over the board, and the liquid that exits them when they blow up is corrosive, and it attacks the circuit board. I forget when this one was done, but it was a while back. This is not one that was recently serviced. This mine, it's one of my test machines, and I just haul them out once in a while and see if they still work, and if they work, great. If they don't, then I figure out what's wrong with them, because they're always breaking down. It's so bad in here. It's like, this is when people say, "Oh, change all the capacitors in your camcorder, and this is how the boards are." It's like, no, you know, you don't have room to work in a camcorder. And they have multi-layer boards. Once the electrolytic soaks into the board and starts eating away at the internal traces, it's a lost cause on them. Even on something like this, like that connection's broken. I think it goes to the ground here. But even just trying to get the solder to stick to this is a challenge. I took that second cap that I had on there off just so I could get to the connection underneath it. I think this one here is also probably flaky. As is this one up here. Something in this voltage regulation circuit is not right. I think those went together into this trace here. That side of that cap went down to this trace right here. At this point, I don't know whether this is actually going to fix the problem. I'm hoping that this is going to get this unit running. Although I don't really have much use for this VCR. This other one that I took out went across here. It'll just go back in storage again, and might make a reappearance another 2 or 3 years down the road when something else breaks on it. It's more of a labor of love to try to get this old crap running. Stuff that was never designed to last anywhere near as long as this, and the fact that it even turns on sometimes is a miracle. And then it doesn't turn on. This is a machine that's been used for duplicating, so it has like thousands of hours on it. Let's see if I got it. I don't know whether I got all the connections that were bad in there or not, but let's see whether we get power here. What's my voltage on here now? Volts. My switch 12 should be off because it's off right now. Just put this into voltage mode. Okay. Switch 12 is over here. Hit the power switch. Wherever the hell that is on the front here. There we go. 12 volts. Okay, that's on. Let's see if it'll turn on and off multiple times without shutting down like it was before. Just going to put the covers on this power supply right now. Just kind of throw it back together for the time being. Because I want to check out the other functions of the machine and see if everything else is working. See, the problem when you have these old machines like this, it's been, they've been sitting around for years. Things just break. I always get a kick out of people that want to keep this old stuff running. It becomes sometimes more expensive to keep this stuff running than to find more modern stuff. And I mean, that's always my recommendation. If someone says, should I fix my old 1990 VCR, or should I find one from 2003? I say, find one from 2003. Don't spend the money on the one from the 1980s or early 90s because they're pretty much worn out. The display is very dim. It's on. I wonder if this unit is going to work. Let's just see whether it actually works or not. It might help if I push the right button. Don't know what button I gotta push here. That one? That's rewind. How about play? There, that one's play. Oh, we got noise. All we got is noise on the sound. No hi-fi sound. That's due to my little AM transmitter that's transmitting on 1410 kilohertz on the other side of the shop, interfering. Shut off my AM transmitter that I had running and see if that... Oh. Well, it just shut off again. This thing's still got a fault. It was working, but it just shut down. Again. And then it powered back up again. Talk about gremlins.
UV units have been too large and expensive for home use. That has all changed with the compact and easy... Okay, it's not playing the hi-fi track. It's only playing the linear track.
The fact that this thing shut down and started working again is going to take me back into the power supply. And let's just take a look and see if I can find anything that might be creating this intermittent problem. Well, it appears that the entire power supply shut down. Like even the 5-volt supply, I've restarted it and it was off. Yeah, it's gone off, see? Oh, that supply is still there. My 12 volts gone off. My 12 volt supply has gone off completely. The 20 volt supply is still here. My 12 volt supply has gone off. Interesting. I think this is the... Get my scope up here and just take a look at the output from the transformer here. That I should have a signal here. And I'm just going to take a look at the yeah, there's nothing. It's shut off completely. There's no oscillation. It might be one of these little small caps over here on this side. I'm thinking maybe what's happening is when the power supply is calling for, like when the unit switches on or switches off, it's obviously the current demand is dropping when it's going on or off, or increasing when it's coming on, and the regulation is not able to keep up, and it's going into a shutdown. There's a couple little caps in here that could certainly cause it. C9 is one of them. But yeah, something shutting it down. It's just going dead. The reason I've still got voltage on some of these other caps is they're storing power. Right? Nothing's draining it from them, so they're storing power. But the 12-volt one is going right to zero. I'm curious if it's maybe one of these little caps down here in the oscillator circuit. Maybe C9. Just check to make sure that the main filter is discharged. Down at 5 volts, so we're okay. So I'm just going to go through with the ESR meter and just check a few more caps here. See if there's a few that are maybe causing this here. That one looks to be okay there. I'm just going to look for some that might be, like that one there. C35. That one looks to be open. Most of these were replaced. C35 might be problematic. We'll try that one. That one looks okay. That looks okay. So C35. This one here looks like it's open. Yeah, that could certainly cause some issues. I don't think there's one here. .4. That one's okay. That looks to be okay. That was probably okay. That was probably okay as well. That was probably okay. Oh, we'll check this one out. This one's C31. Oh, wasn't that? It was C35. If there's actually a cap there. There's not one there. Okay, and then that's not the fault. But you see, this board here is not. There was so much leakage on this thing before. There's corrosion all over these terminals here. This is a laminated paper board, so it could be leakage in the board itself. Could be anything that's shutting this thing down. I really don't want to spend a lot of time on it. It's just a garbage machine. I was actually looking through this thing to see if there was parts I could steal off of it to get something else going. So this one may just become a parts wrecker. Is what this one may end up being. I went over a few more connections on the power board itself. Just cleaned up a few more that looked that they were problematic, and we'll just give this unit one last try. Now, as you can see, this unit is working. It's just that intermittently it just loses power. Guess I got to rewind the tape. Just that I was not hearing any hi-fi sound when I played this back. I'm pretty sure this tape's dubbed in hi-fi. Okay, it is playing hi-fi occasionally when it feels like it. I get so much bloody interference from the plasma on this set. Board mustn't be shielded that well. Maybe the other tape just didn't have hi-fi, or it wasn't tracking it properly. This transport was one of JVC's less reliable ones. This is the one that the brass pins on the bottom that hold the guides together come apart, and the guides would fall right out on them. They were just horrible. We always used to joke about JVC, saying that the letters JVC stood for junk very cheap. And it was stuff like this that made everyone have that opinion that was in the service business, because they just weren't that well built. Well, I'm looking at the RF from the hi-fi heads. The RF level looks, well, I shouldn't say the level, the hi-fi envelope looks okay, but it's really, really low. Like, I have to crank the gain right up to actually get a good signal, but you can see the signal itself is not too bad. I think that probably the reason why the hi-fi is kicking in and out is just because the heads themselves are just about worn out. If I look at the levels between, like, off the head amplifier between the hi-fi audio and the video, if I move it over to look at the video, you can see how much stronger the video signal is. See that? And then the hi-fi audio is that really weak. So I think probably the reason why the audio is kicking back and forth is because the heads themselves are worn. So that pretty much, I mean, it's playing in hi-fi now, but every so often it kicks down to linear and then it goes back to hi-fi. So I want to see whether there's mechanical parts on this one that can be used to get another machine running. A number of years ago, this one was sent in, and there's parts that are broken, mechanical parts. Namely, I think it was the main cam that was broken, and I don't know whether the main cam in this is the same. JVC used a couple different ones over the years. But if the main cam from this one is the same as the main cam from this, then I should be able to pull the main cam out of this one and make this little unique looking unit that stands vertically operate. Guess I'll have to pull the top off it and just look at the mechanism and see if the mechanism is anywhere similar, and then we'll decide at that whether I can pull a piece off of this one to fix the other one. I'm going to pull the top off of this one here and just take a look at the what mechanism this one has in it and see whether it's similar. Fingers crossed it's the same. Nope. Unfortunately, it's a completely different mechanism. So that idea goes out the window. Oh well. I guess it can just go back to where it came from, back in storage, and can just sit there until I need a part off of it, because I don't think I'm going to be spending any more time on this one. It's a surplus machine that I don't need, I don't use, I can't sell because it's not in good enough condition to sell with the hi-fi audio heads that are worn like they are. I can't sell this to anybody. Well, the only thing I can do with it is just use it for parts. So anyway, figured I would give it a try. So I haven't looked at this thing in a long time, and like everything else around here collecting dust, I'm going through just looking for stuff that I can send to recycling, and a lot of stuff like this might be one that just goes to recycling, just because there's not really, I guess there's the plastic parts that may be usable, but chances are won't be. That's why I sold that old SL2000, because I figured I would never use it. And it does play. I mean, it's VHS, so plays about as well as the VHS machine of this era could be expected. That tape was playing in hi-fi, and that's what happens when the heads start to get worn down. Because of how the hi-fi signal was recorded on VHS tape, it was recorded to a deep layer on the tape, and then the video signal was recorded over top of it at a different angle. And the video signal did erase a good portion of that audio signal that was laid down when the video was recorded over top of it. The whole idea was that because the angle was about 30 degrees difference between the video track, the azimuth of the head was 30 degrees different than the video track, that you could pull the signal out that would be not erased. If the video was at the same azimuth as the audio, it would fully erase it. but because they were such different angles, there would be enough left that you could recover. That works when the heads are in good shape. But once the audio heads start to wear, the signal level drops. And as the signal level drops, the audio hi-fi starts to get noisier, starts to kick in and out. Some of the earlier machines, it just got really noisy. But on the later machines, and this would have been considered a later machine, this was not an early VHS hi-fi. First generation, the audio would just get real static and a lot of noise. And then again, after that, they just started to flip them back to the analog track so that you didn't have a bunch of noise. Because a machine producing a lot of static noise would bring a machine in that much quicker to the shop. And a machine that just switched over to mono, well, many people might not even notice it playing in mono. Those using it for movie playback would, but those just recording TV shows and stuff probably wouldn't. So it would extend the life of the machine before it came in. Anyway, that's the way it is sometimes. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.